Hello, fellow flossers. I'm Lynn Wilches, and I thought I would join you all on the floss tube. Because I've had a few people ask about some of the things that I'm working on and how far they are and that kind of thing. So, I would like to introduce myself, and which I've already said. My name is Lynn Wilches. I learned how to do embroidery, crewel work when I was 5 or 6 years old. My grandmother, sweet lady, really sweet lady, she would sit me down to sit and work, and you do those old daisy stitches on pillowcases. So I did the stem stitch and the daisy stitch, and I did more daisy stitches than I really care to remember, but it's kind of fun. Um, then I learned to do crochet and knitting. And I was so bouncy, I guess, at an early age that they had to find things to keep me occupied. So a lot of times I would even sit at my mother's sewing table and I would get her scraps of fabric and I'd cut little holes in them and make Barbie doll clothes. I never did care to sew them together, so they were pretty much tear holes or cut up holes, and then you make these outfits, and it really got to be kind of funny. So, grandmother taught me the embroidery, and so I did that for quite a while. I actually didn't start doing cross stitch until I was about 23. My mother in law had I saw what she was doing and I thought, ooh, that looks like fun. And I watched her do it. And she says, oh, it's really easy. You can learn how. And so the next Christmas, she sent me a gift that was the Ada Floss, the actually it was the DMC Floss, the Ada fabric, and the pattern book, which was the Precious Moments book. So I did one of the projects out of there that she had given me the floss and everything for, which was really cool. So then I did my very first cross stitch, which was a precious moment thing, and that's hanging in there. My grandmother is kind of funny. When I was a teenager, thought that cross stitch was too hard for me to figure out and to do. So, and that might have been part of that. Might have been because not only am I left-handed, I'm also dyslexic. So I have dyslexia in reading and writing. And I tend to have a little bit of trouble understanding a pattern, but if I can see the design, then I can figure it out. So that's where it became pretty obvious that, as long as I had a pattern and as long as I had a picture, I could figure it out and I could do it. And so then it's not a problem. So after I had made a few of those, um, they and when I did cross stitch back when I was in my 20s and 30s, they were in between quilt projects. So I would work on a quilt, or if I got tired of a quilt, then I'd go back to my cross stitch, and I got more cross stitch done than I actually did on quilts. I do like to quilt, but I'm not what you would call a quilter. I make quilts so that I can put them on the bed and it's a nice blanket or whatever. I don't make quilts to show. So most of my quilts are here in the house, or actually my daughter has most of my quilts. When she graduated from college and then moved over to the other side of Washington, she took all the quilts with her. So it was kind of fun for me to try to figure out what happened to a certain quilt. And lately I tend to give her a call and say, hey, have you seen this quilt? And sure enough, it's in her house. So that is pretty much where a lot of that. And then I took a huge break from doing anything. I didn't do any embroidery. I didn't do any cross stitch. I didn't do any quilting. I just didn't do anything. And I went through a period of like a depression, and that was for a good 10 years. And so, in the last 5 years, I have started coming back into what I enjoy doing, And so the first thing I went back to doing was quilting, because that's something that my mother did. And so with my mother doing that, it was one of those things that, okay, I have to do, or my mother has this attitude of, if you want a quilt, you make it, because you can make it. I know you can make your own quilts. So then she was doing it so that she wouldn't have to make me a quilt. And till this day, I still don't have a quilt from her, but that's life. Everybody else has one, but I don't. So at least she's given a couple of them to my husband, so that's where they do come into the house. So then my main thing was getting back. And the one thing that is one of my pride possessions of my cross stitch is the lavender and lace quilt maker. And I have that hanging up on my wall above the TV. And I had made that for my daughter. And when my daughter was about 8 or 9 years old, she watched me working on this, and I said that it reminded me of her and I. So I told her eventually she would get it. And then when she graduated from high school, she says, I want it. And I says, no, you're not going to get it until you're married. And so she's not married, but she's 27 years old. So I think that eventually, if she gets a house, then she will get the quilt maker. And then I'll have my replacement. And my replacement is the one I'm working on now, which is Nantucket Rose. It's also done by Lavender and Lace. And so let me pull it up here. I will show you. I've gotten pretty close to getting it done. I have I've got the hair that I'm working on, and then I got trees and things that go up here, and then it'll be done. So I don't think that should take too long. And a lot of that is there's not as much confetti in the trees and stuff as there was in the dress and the other the tree post, and a couple other places where it had tons of confetti. Actually, it's where the roses are. So there was a ton of confetti. And once I got through all of that, it was like, ooh, easy streak, here I go. And so I believe I should have that one done, hopefully not in too long a time. So then as I'm watching all you on Instagram, like Blitch Stitch, Stitching Mom, and there's also Bub 3, Bub Mom 3 or something. I'll have to check that, and I'll have to do that right, because she's awesome. And I do like watching her and I make comments back and forth, and so she's well worth paying attention to on Instagram. So then I decided, okay, you all are working on stitch alongs, and I kept seeing this SAL, SAL. And because I'd been away from quilting for so long, I didn't know the terminology anymore, because the terminology has changed over time. So stitch along, I thought, oh, I could do that. I could try that. So then I found Eric Shipley's stitch along. And I thought, ooh, that looks cool. I like his colors. I fell in love with these colors. See these beautiful colors? I mean, that is just awesome. Beautiful floss, beautiful colors. So I thought, oh, I got to try this. So I did, and then I got going on it. And I post on Instagram how far I get in that. I still need to work a couple places over here and a couple places over here. But this section right here, we just got on Friday, and I haven't quite got there yet. And I'm hoping to get to it here pretty soon. So those are two things that I'm working on. And I knew that I was crazy when I did that. But, I also signed up for another stitch along. And it is, here, I'll get the thing. It's Stitch by Quotes, or hold on, let me pull it out. Quotes to Live By. And that's an awesome one. And I thought, okay, I love her words to live by. So I gotta have it. I gotta have it. So I went and I got the first one and the second one, and then the next one comes out in March. I haven't started it yet, but I'm hoping to. I really am hoping to. And it's kind of funny, because before I quit doing cross stitch and stuff, I bought tons of Ada floss, not floss, Ada fabric. And I bought the fabric, and I have this stack about like this. It's all that fabric. But then I found that I like to do linens. So I'm kind of stuck with all this Ada fabric. And so I'll figure out what to do with those later. But, and that's where Eric Shipley's Stitch Along came in handy, because I went ahead and got out of my stash and got that. So, and then I've been on the Heaven and Earth Designs. So this is the pattern I want to do, or that I'm doing. And on Heaven and Earth Designs on Facebook, they had a challenge 4 they called it, and you had to have a whole page done. And this started in January and it ends in April. Well, guess what? I haven't got very far, but I'm working on it. I'm going to try and see if I can get it. I think what I'm going to end up having to do is just sit and work on at least 300 a day for the next month or so, before to get everything I need to get done. But it'll be kind of fun. This is, and I don't have my holders like I do on Nantucket Rose, so I'll try to hold up these floss. But this is how far I've gotten, and it's really not very far, but you can at least kind of see the design in it, and it's coming too. So I'm excited to get working on that. I really am. And then I was watching on you guys on Instagram, and I really should get away from Instagram. But on Instagram, I noticed that a few of you were doing Christmas stockings, and you were doing them just before Christmas. So when my daughter came, and she came just before Christmas too, I asked her to go through a stack of magazines and patterns that had stocks for, the stockings for Christmas. So I had her go through that whole pile, and I took out the cutesy whimsical ones because I didn't think she wanted the cutesy whimsical ones. But believe it or not, hers is kind of cutesy whimsical, so I probably should have showed her the others too. But anyway, she came up with this one. It's a Stony Creek one, and I just love it, and I think it's cute, and I think it's perfect for her. So I am going to start this one when one of those 3 get done, and then when another project gets in, because I'm going to try and limit myself to 3 projects at a time. And yeah, I'm going to do, I'll do a stitch along as one of the 3. So when one of the others gets done, then I'll go into doing this one. And this is what I got when we were in Alaska. We took an Alaska cruise. I even picked out the floss recently to make sure that I had it. And that way I can work on that with the floss already here. And it's, I got the, was it Cosmos floss for this, because I thought it would be a little bit softer and whatnot, and it might go with that pretty good. So I'm looking forward to doing this, and I really kind of want to do that next. But I know that if I don't get started on the stocking, it's not going to get done by Christmas, and my daughter's kind of one of those that says, is it done yet? So, and then I'm also into genealogy. So at one time I had this all set up and ready to go. I had the floss, I had the fabric, I had everything. And then I had to start the Heaven and Earth Designs. Well, I really didn't have to, but I did. So I started that, trying to see if I could get that done, because I kind of want to make the challenge. So I took the floss and put it back in the box, and then pulled out what I needed, and I got my floss. But this is going to be one of the next projects. I don't know when, but I really want to do this. And there's 2 of them that are genealogy related. This one is the Mayflower, and this one, because I can actually have proof that 4 of my family members so far were on the Mayflower. So that was awesome for me. And so then I thought, well, I just have to make this then. because this would be part of the family. You know, it talks about the Mayflower, and it's kind of a sampler of it. And I thought that would just be awesome to have, um, just because I'm a history buff. So those are my projects that I have going right now. I hope I don't have any more. But maybe next month I could show you something different. Let me know if you like my video. If you don't, say so. I don't care. I will, you know, if enough of you don't like it, I won't post anymore. If you do like it, then I'll post again in what, March? I'll post in March and show you what I've progressed to, and hopefully I will have one of those done. I know the Stitch at Large has a little bit more to go. It's got about 5 more, so that's probably about 10 weeks to go. So I'm kind of thinking that ain't gonna get done. But when it does, I do have more to go. So I hope you guys all have a happy day. You've had a wonderful day, and that you're happy stitching. So good luck, and thank you for watching.